Okay, let's look at 46. So 46 is going to be a pretty monumental problem. This is asking us to solve the system of equations using Gaussian elimination. So the goal here, well, let me start with this. So let's write this as a matrix. So the way this works is when you write it as a matrix, you just write the coefficients. So I'm writing the coefficients, and hopefully that makes sense. I'm also putting down the constant, if you haven't noticed. All I'm saying is this is technically a 1, so I put a 1. This is -3, I put -3, -2, -2, 0, 0, and I did that for each row. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the lines that I'm underlining because that'll confuse me later. And this is my matrix. Okay, sometimes you see a line going down there. It doesn't matter. Okay, the goal is that I want my matrix I need to have this diagonal 1 effect. Okay? The way you want to go about creating that is you want to make this 1, this 0, then go over here and make this 1, this 0, and this 1. That is the order you want to do this in. If you don't do it in this order, you're going to get yourself caught up in some problems. So, this is nice. Remember, the first values I want to get is, there's a 1 there technically. I want that to be 1. And this is nice because this is already 1. Okay. Now, I want this 2 to become 0. Now, there are 3 ways that I can play with this. Okay. So you can multiply. One thing you can do is you can multiply any row by a value. Okay. So I can multiply, for example, row 1, I can multiply by -2. Okay. By the way, rows are across. Think of you're going into the movies and you're going to go sit in your row. Columns are up and down. Okay. All right. The second thing you're allowed to do with matrices is you can add matrices. I'm sorry, you can add rows together. Okay, so I can add the first row with the second row and get a new value. The third rule is that you can swap rows. So if I want to, I could interchange row 1 with row 2, for example. Okay? So these are the 3 rules we can use to solve this. I'm going to rewrite the matrix. I'm going to try to write it tiny. The biggest thing with this is that you want to be very careful not to make a silly mistake. Because one silly mistake and the whole problem gets messed up. Okay. So, like I said, the first one is already a 1. I now want 2 to become 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply row 1 by -2, and I'm going to add it to row 2 to create a new row 2 value. Okay? So I always like to write off to the side what I'm going to do. So I'm multiplying row 1 by -2. I'm going to add row 2 to it. Okay, so everything stays the same except the row that I changed, which is row 2. So it's going to be 1, -3, -2, 0. I guess I'll do it in blue. 0, -1, -2, 7. So notice I inserted this one here. It's my new row. And then row 3 is going to be the same thing. So 4, 5, 2, 1. Okay, now I want to make, let's look at this. Now I want, I'll do it in a different color, this 4 to become 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do -4 times row 1 plus row 3, and that'll create the new row. So the first one, so actually let's do this first. So -4 times row 1 is going to be -4 12, 8, 0. We're going to add that to row 3. So 4, 5, 2, 1. We add these together, we get 0, 17, 10, and 1. So this is going to be, again, the only thing I'm changing is row 3. So 1, negative 3, negative 2, 0, 0, negative 1, negative 2, 7, 0, 17, 10, and 1. Okay. Actually, let me rewrite the last one. 0, 17, 10, and 1. So that it sticks out. That's the one that I changed. Okay. Next up, I want to change. So notice we've done 1, 0, 0, so now I'm going to 1. So that's going to be easy enough. I'm going to multiply row 2 by negative 1. And this one I'm not going to write out it multiple times. So 1, negative 3, negative 2, 0. So this is going to change. I'm just changing the signs. So note 1 and 2 were negative, now they're positive. 7 was positive, so now it's negative. And the last one is still going to be 0, 17, 10, and 1. Okay, we're getting there. The next step is that I want this 17 to be 0. So I'm going to multiply row 2 by negative 17 and add that to row 3. So this gives me, well, let me actually do it first. So if I multiply row 2 by negative 17, I'm going to get 0, negative 17, negative 34. I have to squeeze in. The back one's going to be 119. And we're adding that to row 3, which is 0, 17, 10, and 1. So it gives me 0, 0, negative 24, and 120. So the top row is 1, negative 3, negative 2, 0. Then we got 0, 1, 2, negative 7. And then I get 0, 0, negative 24, and 120. I've run out of space. So the last move is we want this negative 24 to become 1. So notice we did the 1, then we did the 0, so now we just got to make that into a 1. So that just means I'm going to multiply row 3 by negative 1 over 24. So notice that in the math that you're used to, you can divide. With matrices, you can't divide, so we multiply by the reciprocal. You're still just basically dividing. I'm not going to rewrite the row off to the side. So I'm just multiplying the last row by, dividing by negative 24. So the first part's going to be 0, 0. Obviously that's going to be 1. 120 divided by negative 24 is 5. So what did I actually do? What I actually did is the top one is x negative 3y minus 2z equals 0. The next row is going to be y plus 2z equals negative 7. And the last one is going to be z equals negative 5. So if I know that z is negative 5, I can plug that z value into the second equation and solve, and I get z to be negative 3. All right, z becomes 3. Y becomes 3. Okay, so now that I know that y is 3 and z is negative 5, I can plug both of those values in here and here, and I can calculate for x. So this is going to be x minus 3, y is 3, minus 2z with a z value of negative 5. Okay, and this is going to equal to What's the last equation equal to? 0. Okay, so x minus 9 plus 10 equals 0. So x plus 1 equals 0. So x is negative 1. So we now know x is negative 1, y is 3, z is negative 5. And let's see what the question is asking. The question is asking for the sum of the solutions, so negative 1 plus 3 plus negative 5 is going to get me, I believe, negative 3. Let's see, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 minus 5 is negative 3. That is my final answer. So, hopefully that wasn't too bad. Again, the goal is you write it as what's called an augmented matrix. You follow the pattern of getting 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. You don't really care about the numbers. And once you get that, you more or less substitute each equation back into itself, and you get the answer. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll see you all in the next video.